Hey, good afternoon. Hey, licensed people. This is DP. Hey, I just want to reach out to you. I want to talk a little bit about referrals, considering now most of you are getting referrals because you gotten licensed, and or secondly, you're starting to call the referrals from the people that you've received during the course of your licensing. So great job as far as getting referrals. That's a wonderful thing. Couple things I really want to talk to you today about as far as the referral process, because some people seem to kind of have a little bit of concerns about, oh my God, what happens if this scenario takes place? What about this as far as referrals? So I'm just going to really kind of cover some of these areas because I think this is important, and you can refer back to this on occasion. If you're having issues as far as setting a referral appointment or how to double it up, that type of thing. Just understand that your business, your Primerica business, is no different than the doctor, your local doctor who sees patients on a regular basis. Doctors understand that when you go to a doctor's office, they have a thing called a patient waiting room. And there's a reason why they have a patient waiting room is because they know that they're not just going to book one appointment and anticipate that all their patients are going to show up. No. If you see a doctor, for example, he knows that, hey, the likelihood of you rescheduling or canceling an appointment because of life event, something with your kids, something with your job is highly probable. So the way to work around that is doctors double book. They always double book their appointments. The irony is the reason why they call you patients is they want you to patiently wait in the waiting room to be seen by the doctor. So understand that doctors double book their appointments, and when they're backed up, sometimes people say, well, what happens if everybody shows up? Well, the doctor will say to you, hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, can you politely wait? The doctor's running behind today. We're double booked, or, he's backed up, so he won't get to you in the next 30 minutes or to the hour. So usually if you come into the doctor's office, you're not just going to say, okay, hey, I'll leave and come back, 2 hours later. No, you're just going to patiently await to be seen by the doctor. Second thing that doctors do that, we don't have the capacity to do, but the doctors nowadays will throw a cancellation fee at people. So they'll say, hey, look, if you cancel within the last hour or you cancel within 5 hours of seeing your appointment, we're going to charge you a $30 or $50 cancellation fee. So now people think, they're like, wait a minute, I can't cancel. I'm not just going to be giving money away to him or her. So I'm going to make sure that I get on that appointment. Well, in your Primerica business, here's what you got to do. You got to make sure that you double book your appointments. Don't take for granted that because you have one appointment at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, you have another one at 7:30. We know the 50% rule. Doctors know the 50% rule. That just means 1 out of 2 of your appointments are going to cancel. It's not highly unlikely. It's highly likely that that's going to happen. So people, here's the number one question I want to address. People say, well, DP, what should I do if this person cancels, or if they don't cancel, and now I got all these appointments booked up? So, me personally, if I'm gonna set appointments, I'm gonna double book 2 for 6. I'm gonna double book another 2 for 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And I know early on, I shared this story before. It used to drive my wife crazy because she'd be like, oh my God, how are you going to see all these people? What's going to happen? What if they keep? So if they keep, here's what I do. And here's what you got to get down. Okay. So I would literally pull up, let's say, my 6 o'clock appointment. Okay. I already know that I didn't hear from my other 6 o'clock. So they both kept. So I'm going to choose which appointment I'm going to go on based on potential. Okay, so in other words, if one 6 o'clock appointment is a 4-pointer and the second 6 o'clock appointment is a 5-pointer, I'm gonna choose the 5-pointer. Okay, so I'm gonna choose them based on which one has greater probability. One 5-pointer may be 2 5-pointers. One 5-pointer may be 45 years old. Another 5-pointer may be 33 years old. I'm gonna go see the younger one. Why? Because I want to recruit that person into the business. Okay, so you just got to go based on, I profile people and which one I'm going to choose. So here's my conversation. I would call up the let's just say I got 2 5-pointers. I will call one of them up, let's just say the older one, and I would say, hey Bob, this is Derek Parker, how you doing? I'm really backed up today. I know I'm supposed to see you guys at 6 here. Hey, I'm running a little bit behind. I tell you what, is it okay if I push you guys back to 7:30 or 8 o'clock today? And if he says, hey, today's not going to work, no, that time's not going to work, okay, great. Let me look at my calendar here. How about we do Wednesday, or I could do Friday? So I'm going to reschedule him right then and there. I'm not going to hang up and say, I'll call you back for another day. No, I'm going to schedule him right then and there. See, here's what happens when you do that. You give a vibe to that person that you are very important, okay? Why? Because he or she is thinking, oh my God, Liz has multiple appointments. She must be highly affluent in this industry. People want to deal with people who are busy. People don't want to deal with people who are, well, hey, you know what? Any day works out better for me. I'm pretty flexible. I have any day available. No, they're thinking nobody wants to see you, and nor do I. So you have to appear as though you're busy. Because if you appear as though you're busy, it sends a nonverbal message to people that you're very attractive. It's just something about the psychology of that. So just understand that. So people say, what day, or can this day work? Just pause. Always pause. Say, you know what, Rick, let me check my calendar. And I may put the phone on, I'll put the phone on hold, and I'll look at my calendar. I may know I have nothing available at Friday at 6 o'clock, but I'm going to have it appear as though I do have something, because the psychology of that person on the other end, I'm sending a message loud and clear, is that I'm busy. And people want to deal with busy people. They don't want to deal with people who are just sitting by the dock of the bay and they got unlimited amount of time available. So if I double book, I'm going to call that person right in front of that person's house. Okay? And I'm gonna share that same conversation that I shared. So you got to get that down. And what happens is that person on the other end. So if I called the guy up, as I mentioned a little bit ago, he's not going to be like, darn, I'm really upset. I wanted to see this financial guy. He's probably, excited. He's probably telling his kids, hey, look, let's go grab some ice cream. This guy's not coming by, whatever it may be. But that's how I'm going to deal with a double book. Because I understood this. If you're part-time, like I was once part-time, your time is very invaluable. You want to, if I've dedicated, say, 2 nights or 3 nights to the business, man, I for darn sure wanted to make sure that if I had a Tuesday night I committed to, my Tuesday was going to be booked out. I was going to go see somebody. I wasn't just going to have one appointment and that cancels and I go back home and goof off. No, I was going to make sure that I double booked and I was going to see somebody. So if I didn't see people and I had no appointments afterwards, before I got home, I would pull in somewhere and I would reschedule like 3, 4, 5 appointments, because I would end my night on a positive note. Not on a dead note of saying nothing happened. You go home, you tell your spouse, how did it go? Nothing happened. And understand that when they say, how did it go? They're really asking, did you make any money tonight? Were you successful tonight? Your kids over time will start to ask those questions. They start saying, how did it go, Dad? Mom, how did it go? And really what they're asking indirectly is, did you make any money tonight? Did you close? So you got to make sure that you have enough appointments set up to double book, to override any event if that happens. So, second thing I wanted to really address was basically phone script. I want to make sure that you get down the phone script. We talk a lot about, number one, really you getting the phone blitz. That's going to help you with your phone etiquette. You cannot assume that you have this down. See, right now I'm during the course of this video, I know that if I'm going to set appointments, it's something about setting appointments if I'm in a room where it's busy. Some people tell themselves a lie and say they can make phone calls alone. Now look at your activity. How much money did you make last month? That's a lie. Don't buy that lie. Don't tell yourself that. you need to be confined. You need to be around people who are competitive, where you can engage in really setting appointments in a competitive environment and a constructive environment. So that's why Phone Blitz is so critical. But also, Phone Blitz helps those of us get down our phone etiquette. It helps us correct things that we're saying right or things we're not saying. So you come into that environment, it helps you fine tune what to say and how to say it. Because most of the time when people are alone, especially early on in the business, they say all the wrong things. Okay, they say things that are not constructive. So you got to get help with that. You just can't assume if you called one or two people on your referral list that, oh, you played mind games. Oh, everyone's bad on the list. I already called 2 of them, so the other 8 they're bad. I'm not going to call them anymore. That's just a mind game. That's a head fake. So you got to recognize those things. That's why you got to be connected with people to setting things up. So let me just kind of give you a little bit on how to set an appointment. And here's a big one that most of you are getting. I'm having a tough time connecting with the spouse, or that person may say, it's hard to get them both to the table. So here's my appointment process. So if I'm calling Julie and I speak to Julie, of course I can't speak to Julie's husband at the same time, but if I speak to Julie, I'll say, hey Julie, how you doing? This is Derek. We haven't met yet. We have a mutual friend, and Rick or Tom. And did they mention I would be calling you? Oh, great. Well, I'm glad I called you. Hey, listen, the reason I'm calling is they said that you and your husband are the type of person that if you could save more money, make more money, at least you'd be willing to take a look at it. Were they at least right about that? Yeah, she may say, well, what is it? And I'll go through that. I'll say, hey, listen, I help families, get out of debt, save for retirement, and radically reduce their insurance costs. They were truly excited about it. I'm just curious, which of those 3 areas stick out to you? And she may say, hey, look, you know what? I like the debt part. I like the lowering insurance costs, whatever it may be. I'll say, well, hey, Julie, you're going to be very impressed. Usually, I see people after work on a weekday, or does weekends work out better? And she may look in, the calendar and kind of go back and forth and say, well, yeah, how about next Monday at 6 o'clock? And I'll say, hey, Julie, great. I'm assuming you and your husband make your decisions together, right? And she'll say, yeah, we do. And I'll say, well, hey, great. I'm going to need him there as well, because this is some very important information that I think he needs to be a part of. And we may go back and forth. She may say, well, I don't know if he's going to be here because, he works late or what have you. So whether you're setting a referral type appointment, or if you're setting you're brand new in the business and you're going through the training script. So here's how I capture that. I'll say, hey, Julie, I understand. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just set that date up, that time tentative, okay? Then you can talk to your husband, Bob, okay, and I'll give you my number. So in the event if something changes, you can call me back. I stay real busy, so it's kind of hard for me to call you on the go. But here's my number, 410, blah, blah, blah. And I'll give her my number, and I'll say, hey, Julie, I got you on it tentatively, you and your hubby, at that time. And I look forward to seeing you both. Julie, I just know you're going to be very impressed. I'm excited about seeing you. That's exactly how I'm going to set the appointment. So I'm going to set it up like that, okay? Being, setting up tentative, and I'm going to let her do the chase, because here's what's going to happen, okay? 9 times out of 10, she'll probably forget, okay? She'll probably forget to call me back or whatever, and I'll show up. And I'll show up at the house, and a lot of times I've shown up and I got the husband and I got the wife. And he may be looking like, oh, who's this? And she's like, oh, you remember I mentioned the guy? I forgot he was coming. I was supposed to call him back. And I'll say, well, I'm here now. How about I just take 20 minutes? And I'll proceed, and I'll be able to get in and they say maybe they only got 20 minutes. I've been places where I'm there for an hour or hour and a half, helping the family, putting a game plan in place where initially they said they didn't have a lot of time. So you got to get that down of using, how about we get together tentatively, okay? And then give them your number and say, hey, look, you call me back because I stay real busy. Again, busy is attractive. not busy is unattractive. Okay, so I want to make sure that, again, you give the appearance of being busy. Okay, so that's important as far as moving ahead and helping people or getting in the door when you got a two-part. So you got to learn the third thing. You got to learn the scripts on how to set appointments, okay? Because here's the thing. Tonality, like how I'll say, like, hey, hi, I'm Derek. Hey, hi, I'm Derek. I say the same thing. Tonality is so critical over the phone. Okay, so you got to make sure that if you're making calls, number one, you're in a great place, meaning you got an environment that is conducive to, there's no kids, there's no loud noise, you don't have your spouse, hey, yeah, hey, honey, you don't have all that. Okay, because again, people want to know that you're busy, but they also want to know that you're professional. So you want to make sure you control that noise of what's taking place in the background. Okay. And then the fourth thing is this. You got to get this down. It's called push. P-U-S-H. Okay. That just means you gotta push until something happens. Okay. So I understood that if I got 10 referrals, I realized the numbers say that on the referrals, probably 30-40% are going to set appointments with me. Sometimes I'll get lucky and I'll have more people set up appointments. That person may have amazing credibility, but I'm going to get a higher number of appointments if I recruit that person. So I'm going to do everything I can to recruit and bring that person onto my team because I can have them call their list and me getting in the door is a lot easier. But also understand this, a referral has nothing to do, has very little to do with you, okay? But it has everything to do with the person who referred you. So if that person who referred you has no credibility, people don't like them, they maybe don't have a good job, maybe they're perceived as being broke. Even though you're on the other end sharing a lot of good things, I've been through some bad lists where I had 10 people and the person had a great house, they had all the things going on, but nobody would line up. And I understood that it had very little to do with me and everything to do with the person who referred me. So get that down. Don't take it personal. It's not you. But having said that, you want to make sure, hey, you're on your game. You're saying the right things. Over the phone, it's always a connection. It's a connection. So some of us got to get down those people connections. Okay, like in other words, I try to find ways to compliment people. I try to find ways to strike up that we have a mutual thing in common. So when I get referrals, I'm always qualifying referrals. Hey, where do they go to church at? Where do their kids do? Where do they go to school at? Where do they work at? I try to find those things. So when I converse over the phone, I'm going to bring that up and you're going to be like, oh my God, you go to First Baptist of Glenarden? Oh my God, you work for the government? Oh my God, my kids went to that camp. So it's natural because when you connect with people on the phone and you start talking like, the normal referral call may take 5 minutes, but if you're on the phone 10-15 minutes with that person, that's wonderful. Because now they're sizing you up. You have a great things in common. They're like, man, I can't wait to see this gal. She's really good. She's got things going on. That's so important. So understand the number one important component when making a call to a referral is number one, you have to be willing to follow up. Okay, you have to follow up. I followed up with so many people, whereas maybe I caught them at dinner time. Maybe I didn't, they told me to call them back at a different day. So if they say, call me back, Derek, tomorrow at 6 p.m., my daily planner is going to come over here. I'm going to write down, call them back at 6 o'clock. So when I call back, I look like a pro. They're like, wow, this guy's really on it. He called me back at 6 o'clock. It wasn't just something passive, that went by. So these are very important tools and components that can really kind of help you additionally as far as layering and doing calling referrals. You have to call the referral. You have to be competent at calling a referral, but understand it's not about being perfect. I've made a lot of referral calls where maybe I said the wrong thing. Man, it was just crazy. Maybe I wasn't feeling good. And I had a connection with that person. Why? Because the person who referred me had great credibility. They just, and maybe they told them, and so when I called, it was just like icing on the cake, and I just knew. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna see this person. Great things are about to happen. So hey guys, I just want to give you some insight on pushing through referrals. It is the lifeblood of our business. You have to get referrals, and then you have to get to a place where you can comfortably learn how to, make, referral calls. But understand, you're going to be bad before you get good. I sucked at it initially. So many times I would mess up and I hang the phone up and I call them back and I say, oh my God, the phone dropped. And but I pressed through it. And it is so daggone worth it, It's so daggone worth doing that versus, man, going to a job that you don't like for the rest of your life, getting up early mornings and doing things. This is not work. I mean, this is you're talking to people, you're helping people, you're making a difference in people's lives. So those referral lists that you got, man, they're waiting for you. They're waiting for your phone call. No one is calling them. No one does what we do. And you got to believe that we got the best thing in store for that person. So, hey, get those referrals in place. Call those people. Make a commitment to yourself that you're going to do it. You're not going to weenie out of it. And let's go take your business to the top because the bottom is way too crowded. So God bless you guys, man. Let's have a great one. Talk to you in a bit.